Mental alchemy is the art of upgrading your basic or fundamental mindset. You can do this by forging it through a process of mental transformation. The base metal is your current life, and the process is called mental alchemy. Napoleon Hill said that thoughts are things. Mental alchemists think of the mind as an instrument or tool that can be modified to make it serve us better. It's a life philosophy that can improve your mental and emotional well-being. True alchemists in our contemporary world are those who can evolve or change their minds to become better versions of themselves. Thoughts are things. Fear and thoughts that are based within fear, or even have permutations of gradients of fear that comprise their constitution. Meaning, if I have thoughts that have any quotient of fear, then that fear will manifest in my reality. I've been bitten by 3 brown recluses, one of which, because I was stubborn and chose not to go to the emergency room or seek professional help, I had to contend with the full flourishing of the poison in my system. And fortunately, I was guided to obtain antibiotics, of all places, from Walmart's online pet store, where I purchased fish antibiotics, pet antibiotics, and thus was able to stop the development of the poison in my system. But I still had to deal with quite a bit of health complications before I was guided to that path to take and thus get the antibiotics introduced into my system. The centipede bite, I was bit by a centipede. That was a very harsh experience, to say. The venom of a centipede is 100 times more venomous than that of a wasp. And the details of that experience were horrific, in the fact that the centipede, because I was in the jungles or the backcountry in Hawaii on military trainings, maneuvers, and already a stressful situation, was a horrific experience. So what I'm getting at is, and not mention the fact that an actual scorpion, a huge scorpion, and this is not the dream black scorpion that I'm talking about, but an actual physical scorpion that I had to almost be bitten by and take care of in my own bedroom. And then the most recent was, now 3 days ago, I had a dream of a black scorpion, which I related in the video on satanic courts. I shared that story. And what I'm getting at is when I'm already a person who is comfortable walking around barefoot, and that's how I choose, definitely in my home environment, and occasionally on my walks out in the woods, I like to go barefoot. But anyway, what I'm getting at is there's a cat that lives in my neighborhood that I'm trying to seduce, this black cat, that I've seen it. The first time I saw this little black cat, it was a kitten, and it was last year at Halloween. And I know the kitten, I know that it lives in the sewer systems and the underground areas, which thread all through around where I live. And I believe another loving message from the universe was yesterday morning. I saw this black cat who now is a full-grown black cat, but I know it's that same black cat that I saw when it was a kitten, and I wanted it. And I tried to seduce it and leave food out for it, but I never know. But anyway, yesterday morning, that black cat was sitting right out there on my back on the fence portion, the wood portion, and just sitting there like a statue, yesterday morning. And I was so happy because that to me was, a message from the universe. So this morning I wake up and, I went out and left some food for it, and I'm hoping that it comes and get it. But anyway, the fear was in me for some reason, and I chose not to go out in the dark and barefoot. These memories of my past experience with venomous creatures, the fear was there, and so I had to put on my little slippers, as our Hawaiian brothers and sisters say, or chanclas as the Mexicans say. But I put on my slippers, my chanclas, because I was a little bit, afraid. I was like, oh, there's a spider out there, it might crawl me. So what I'm getting at is though I'm convinced that there is a proportion, there's a correlation between the thoughts that we have and what manifests in our reality. And I know that my experiences with the venomous creatures, I believe, were part of who I was inside, the darkness that I was living through inside, and thus open to spiritual attack. And that was confirmed by a random, there was a pastor that I like to listen to, Pastor Perry, and I had left the comment. This was like two winters ago, not the last winter, but the winter before. And here in Texas, that was a hard winter for a lot of people, where there was freezing and loss of power, and people's pipes burst and their electricity was out. But anyway, none of that kind of happened to the infrastructure of where I lived, but I was bitten by a brown recluse spider and had to deal with that frozen in for several days without any really way to get out and go to any kind of resources, health resources. But anyway, right at that time I had left a comment on Pastor Perry's, one of his videos, and his response was like, I guess the spirit led him, but he told me I was under spiritual attack. And, that was his, I guess, spirit led him to share that and tell me that. But it wasn't so much, me being singled out and under attack, which I know I was, but it was also directly proportionate to the darkness that I was attempting to live through in my life, and thus that was manifesting into my reality, and it was coming at me in the forms of those types of unfortunate incidences with the venomous creatures. Now, that being said, I don't wish to, there's a wasp nest that outside of my patio that I've allowed to flourish. Whereas in the past, I would take my 50,000 BTU propane torch and I just eradicate their nest. But I've been led to this gnosis of understanding to have love for all things, including the venomous things. And in the past, where wasps would kind of come at me and attack me, those wasps, there's a harmony between when I'm out there in my back patio and, doing stuff and leaving food for birds and squirrels and cats and what have you. Whereas they used to buzz me and come at me, now they do their own thing. It's miraculous, the transformation between the energy between me and the wasp. And I know that, this dream that I had maybe, 3 mornings ago, that may or have something to do with remnants of fear-based thinking within my own, mental landscape, if you will. However, I do believe that, all of God, all the creatures that have been created have a purpose, and I know that there's a direct correlation between our thoughts, our energy, and our perceptions of our reality, or our consensus reality. And most agree in our consensus reality that, things like snakes and spiders and scorpions, that they're evil and, oh, they need to be killed. But I don't believe that. I don't believe that. And in fact, I do regret killing the scorpion, even though it was in my bedroom, right by my bed. And that was a supernatural. I know this sounds crazy, but the mere fact that that scorpion was there, I still believe that that was some kind of supernatural manifestation. And perhaps that's an obvious example of my fear-based thought processes within, because when I told my mom that, she laughed at me. Not laughed at me, but just kind of like, her wisdom just kind of made it like made me feel like a little child again, and her just kind of letting me know that that's a natural creature, that they live too, that they exist too. And so that same wisdom I found in another source other than my mother, in the form of Sadhguru, and what he what he has gone through and what he deals with. And I wanted to share a little bit of this video here. I'm not sure, but this is kind of an interesting thing where he's drinking cobra venom. And he has other videos where he's shared and he's talked about the venomous things and how they're attracted to Shiva. And he talks about this, those that are kind of on that path or that consciousness of Shiva, that these wild venomous things are attracted to that energy that's being manifested within that particular container or that particular genetic vehicle of that human's consciousness. And so I'm not sure exactly what my point would be to you, my dear and esteemed viewer, with this, but except for the fact that there is a correlation, I do believe, between our mental quality, our mental thoughts, our inner mental awareness, consciousness, and what manifests in our external reality. And it is my path, I do believe, to come to terms and come to some kind of loving acceptance, even with that fear of those creepy crawly things in the night, in the dark, and what my consciousness is manifesting, or what it's internalizing. So if I have fear for these things, I believe that the possibility of that manifestation is always going to be there. So I share this video of Sadhguru to pass along the heightened spiritual gnosis of masters that he handles cobras. He talks about these 9-inch mountain scorpions that yogis would allow themselves to be stung by, and so they can go through that, transmuting that poison. Well, I'm not there yet to allow a scorpion, a 9-inch scorpion, to sting me, but I do aspire to get there at some point. So the only thing I can do now is just share some information, and let's see what's going to go on here. I'm not sure, but we'll see. This is Sadhguru, who I believe is highly instrumental in my path of ascension. But this is him drinking cobra venom. He's about to drink the cobra venom.
So we are also using some milk from a black cow, which is traditionally known as the Kara Vasu. And also we have some venom from a black cobra. Both these things.
Oh yeah, it's still dark outside, and I have blue ambient light and green light, so I don't have white light,
Both
so
these substances are very
I'm not trying to appear mysterious or anything with my green and blue light shading, but, well, maybe I am just a little bit. He's crying for some, or his tears are coming out of his eyes for some reason. That's the consecration of the lingam at one of his temples in India, I do believe. I mean, he just swallowed cobra venom. And now he's going on about his ceremony. Whereas I do believe most people would be dying right about now. So anyway, Sadhguru has, lots of knowledge, gnosis, and it's just fascinating to learn, the spiritual tradition associated with the venomous things, and but more importantly, how consciousness, how one person could handle a cobra, which there's plenty of, demonstrations and proof and evidence of, yogis, and then, also with Sadhguru, he's got videos where he talks about the, his belief that, and it, and he's very careful. He's not saying that this is truth, but it's his experience, the belief of it within his wisdom based on his experience that, Shiva is attracted to venomous things, and are this energy, the venomous things are attracted to the one carrying the energies of Shiva. And but anyway, there's tons of evidence and videos, and also a Sadhguru of him handling cobras, and and the idea there is it's the symbiosis of the state of consciousness, the quality of the energy within the individual, and how the cobra is mesmerized rather than the cobra would strike the average person and with their average mental quality of their, the typical anxiety and the typical reaction of fear that most people would have towards a cobra snake or what have you. So this video offering was simply meant to introduce the idea, perhaps, that what we believe in our internal energies and whatnot do manifest in our outer reality. So let's always try to have impeccable speech and impeccable qualities of energy. And if we don't, then we should strive for that and look for methods and processes to cleanse our inner energies and embrace the totality of all of Source creation.
Namaste, Namaskaram.